Hey everyone, welcome back to our C tutorial. Our C for beginners, as I'm calling it. Today we're going to talk a little bit more about just getting started, some housekeeping things that we need to do before we actually get in to some of the meat and potatoes of C. Now, the stuff that we're going to learn today that we're going to talk about, it's extremely important whenever working with C. And you'll see why later on. It may not be like, oh, this isn't, this isn't important or this is minutia. But in reality, what we're going to talk about today, it's extremely important when working with C or really any language. So the first thing we're going to talk about, you can see here on the screen, we've got our sort of template or boilerplate. We've got our include statement for our standard input and output. We've got our main function here, this int main void return 0, right? And our two curly braces. So we are ready to go. Anything that we type inside of this is, as long as it compiles, is going to print out into the CLI or the command line interface. So what we're going to talk about today, first of all, we're going to talk about comments. Comments are very important if you are learning a language. For one, it allows you to comment what you are learning, so that if you ever go back and look at it, you understand why you did something. It also allows you, whenever you are working as a developer for a company, in a group, you can comment your code so that those who come in behind you or those who do your code reviews, they know what you're thinking, they know why you did that, and it just makes it a lot easier. So we've got single line comments, and those are done with two, I guess these are forward slashes, maybe they're back, I don't know. I'm not the best at determining which is forward, back, whatever, but it's on the question mark key if you're in the US on a standard keyboard. So you do two of those, and then you just type something. And so you can just type, this is a comment. And so what this does is it shows up on ours in this light green color. If you're on the Y, it shows up in a different color, whatnot. But this doesn't compile, it's just in the code. So you can say this is a comment. You can also comment code with this. So you can do your two slashes, and you can say like printf, hello world, like this. And then this line of comment, or this line of code is commented, which is actually a really good thing if you're wanting to test something out and you don't want to completely delete what you've got going on. You can just comment out a line of code and you can try something else to get the result that you're looking for. You can also do what is called multi-line, and that's with a slash and then a star or an asterisk. And then to complete it, you do the opposite of it. So it looks like this. And this is a multi-line comment, and so you can do multiple lines. So, and this right here will allow you to do multiple code blocks or multiple lines of code. So, or for a comment. So that's how you comment. In our previous video, we talked about printing. So if we say printf hello world, we can see that it will compile and it will print hello world. So we'll do compile and run. We'll go ahead and save it, compile and run, and you can see here on the screen, it's going to say hello world. Let me make it bigger. There we go. It'll say hello world. But what if you want to print more than one line? And so let's say you say printf, and this time you're going to put your name. So mine's Jeff. Whatever, Then you can compile and run it. And what you're going to see is you're going to see that, if I show you here, there is no white space. And the white space would be where a character is, but it's not. So it would just be white space. This is what it's called. There's no white space and there's no line break. So how do we fix that? And that's where what we're going to talk about today in a lot of detail is escape strings, or often called escape sequences. So we're going to talk about those and we're going to look at them. So for us to get this to work, what you need to do at the end of hello world is put in a slash in, like that. at the end of what it is, at the end of your line of code, it still needs to be inside of the double quotes. And then so if you hit compile, execute, and run, we can see here that we have hello world, then we've got a new line break, and then we've got our name. So that's pretty neat. So we can also do it here inside of this, and that's going to give us another line break. If we execute, you will see that it will put a line of blank space right here. Puts a line of blank space between where the program would then end. And so what this really does is it allows us to format our output. So let's talk about some other. So this /n here, this right here does new lines. Well, let's say you want to do something that is plural or it has an apostrophe in it. So how would we do that? So if we want to say I'm, so it'd be like this I'm, but it has to have an apostrophe. What you're going to have to do is you're going to have to put a escape sequence in there, which is this right here. And it's going to be a slash and then a single quote. And so if we compile and run this, you'll see that it says I'm. But if we don't do that, it's going to throw an error because it's thinking that you're trying to put a single quote inside of the double quotes, which has other significance in C. Okay, so we've got slash single quote. Well, what if you want to quote something, right? So you want to do double quotes. You want to quote something else. Well, it's kind of the same thing. You would do slash double quote, and then you would do slash double quote. And this is going to put in double quotes. And I'll show you that right now. So if we compile and run this, we can see that after my name, I put in 2 double quotes. And so you can actually put stuff inside of it. So to get that to work, you could say, if I wanted to say like my first name or whatever, instead of Jeff, I would put a slash double quote slash double quote. And so whenever we compile and run it, our output, we're going to see that my full first name is now inside of double quotes. Well, let's say you want to add some white space. No problem. All you have to do is put a space before the slash, and you'll see here, now we have white space. Pretty cool. So let's talk about some other ones. Right, so let's say now that we want to do a backslash. So it's actually not forward slash. But let's say you want to do a backslash. That's simple. You just put a backslash, right? And we'll see here when we execute it that there's going to be a backslash right here. Because if you don't do that, like I said, then it's not going to have the same thing. It means something different. We'll talk about that later in other lessons. Okay, so now we're going to do what's called a horizontal tab. So this would be just kind of what you're thinking about in whenever you're in Word, in Microsoft Word, and you want to do a tab, right? So we're going to say my name, and we're going to put /T, and that stands for tab, and then we're going to say the, and we'll do /T, IT/T guy. And this is going to be, the name of my YouTube channel. So we'll hit compile and run, and we'll see here that we've got this backslash. And since we didn't put a new line on this line of code here, it's just going to have a backslash here. And it's going to say Jeff, and then we've got tab, then we got a tab, IT, tab, guy. And so that's going to give us a tab. And there are a lot of other escape sequences as well. If you want to look in the book that I linked in the description, it's a great starting off point. There's one more, and that is going to be what is /R that we're going to talk about today. And so this is called a carriage return. We'll just do /R, and we'll see how it goes. We'll put a /N here so that we can be on a new line. We'll compile and run. looks like it doesn't do anything, right? Well, we can also get input here. And we'll talk about these things later, okay? You don't have to worry about what I'm putting in right now. We will talk about it later. But I'm just going to try to show you what the carriage return is. So as we can see, it waits for an input, then you input it, and then so it's kind of weird if you don't do it right. So it just waits for a return value. But we'll talk about those later. And so this is escape sequences. What we're going to talk about now before the end of this is for something for you to work on. And so what you're going to do after following this is going to be a little lab for you to do. I will go ahead and I will do I'll link to my GitHub and stuff, and you can see like what I do, but it's nothing major. What you're going to do for this lab to help you understand escape sequences is to draw some ASCII art. And so ASCII is just the characters. And what I mean by that is just try and draw something. Maybe it's a stick figure. Maybe you try and draw a face. Maybe you try to, draw a Christmas tree, whatever it is. And what this is going to teach you to do is how to use these escape sequences and how to do outputting and formatting. It seems kind of mundane, but trust me, this will help a lot later on throughout the rest of these tutorials. So go ahead and just, go in, start printing and be like, okay, well, maybe if I put a star and then a /t/t and then a star and then a /n, and I go down here and I'm like, okay, try to line these up and let's see what happens if I put star/t/t and then a star and then a /n or whatever. And so just to give you an example of what this will output, we'll compile and run, and you can see, okay, well, this is what I've output now. I've output, this is the first line, this is the second line. So now you can start to work on trying to just draw a little something. And what it teaches you is going to teach you how to output or format your output and how to use these escape sequences. So thank you for watching. Stay tuned for our next tutorial. In the next tutorial, we're going to talk about data types. So it's going to be like int, character, float, double, things of that nature. And we will continue building on what we're learning in these tutorials. And by the end, you'll be, ready to take on more advanced things. You'll have a basic understanding of the C language. So thank you for watching.